All right, so we are on air. This is Changing the Lost, PbtA. This is session 4 of 4. This is a hack that we've done to play Changing the Lost, which is a fun game with some challenging rule systems. Let's just put it that way and walk away in that case. Anyway, I've written this set of rules. We've been playing this, been making adjustments. We had some interesting feedback, some stuff we talked about, things that I thought were wrong that the players liked last time, which is always cool. So we're taking up with this final session. We're having one of the characters who vanished at the end of session 2 will be returning. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about this online gaming community at gauntlet-rpg.com. And we are going to kind of take up, is there anything, since this is the last session, any scenes that you want to like telegraph that you definitely want to have today? Sherry, is there anything that off the top of your head that you're like, definitely, and saying no is fine as well?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I've enjoyed going with the flow with this group so much. So,
okay.
Say no.
Patrick, anything?
I talked about this a little at the end of last time, but I am interested in digging into like Fade's photo and memories and trying to do some memory work, inceptions, playing with sorrow type stuff to dig into that, maybe help Fade in some way, or at least try to help Fade.
Awesome.
And just on that note for flags in the session, I'm like 1 away from XPing up to a new move, and I'm 1 clarity away from getting a clarity move, both of which are going to tie into that psychometry where I can read objects and emotions off of them for the photo, and tears where I can shift the nature and intensity of someone's sorrows. So I'm almost certainly going to go for a contract and invoke contract early on so I can get that clarity. Somewhere I'll get a miss and hopefully get that move, and hopefully we'll build up.
Maybe we can put the two together.
Hey, but yeah, ideally we're going to build up to a situation where I just use all of my moves on 1 action because my entire character is now focused around this.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds great. What about you, Steven? Are you cool with that? You muted.
Yeah, I had to wait for my computer to respond so I could unmute. Actually, I was going through my character saying, oh, I think I'd like to tie into my background a little bit. And I'd forgotten that Patrick had mentioned that during the last session. I was like, oh, yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. That's exactly right. So, yeah.
Perfect. Then probably what we'll do is after we get Gray back in and do a little bit of that, then we'll kind of shuffle over to Patrick and work that route. Rich, is there anything that you definitely want for Gray today?
I'm just happy to be here.
All right. So Gray, I'm going to drop a move in the chat for you. It's not particularly well defined, but this is the sort of returning back move for you. Paste that in there. So for those at home, I'll read it. When you escape out of the hedge and back to your motley, roll or choose. On a 10+, you make it back with someone or something important. Tell us of your escape and what secret or secret they hint at or reveal. Mark clarity. On a 79, your struggle to return cost you. Mark 2 clarity and 1 XP. What haunts you from your journey back. Or on a 6-, you found someone or something important, but it was taken from you. What happened? Clear your clarity and take a new clarity move.
So what do you mean by roll or choose?
I mean, if you want to let the dice decide, we can let the dice decide. But if you, Rich, say, oh, this fits for Gray more than the other ones, I want to let you have that choice.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I like this diceless aspect, but that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but we can go to the dice as well.
The hell is this, Amber? Okay, hold on. There, did I make you spit take, Patrick? That's what I was going for. I see you take a drink. We're going to say something stupid. Okay. Dang, that's tempting. That's tempting. No. Amber's mean. I don't like being mean. I'm going to let the dice decide. Okay. I think so. I do think, though, I'm going to roll with fear.
Okay. Look at ungainly gray. So that's a flat roll. That's good.
It is. It's a flat roll. I'm going to roll the ugly old dice, which I should not have this much affection for virtual dice. Here we go. That is a 7.
7.
Squeak.
Okay. So you mark 2 clarity and an XP.
Nice.
So you were lost in the hedge. You fell through that hole person, the master of holes, dropped out. You managed to destroy him, lost in the hedge. And you somehow made your way back out through the thorns and all of that. What haunts you? What did you see, or what do you remember from that? That is what kind of caused your clarity loss. And clarity, again, represents your sort of stability.
I think that the travel through the thorns marked and scarred him physically. He was cut and pricked by the thorns, and the wounds are still bleeding. And what he saw that caused him to be a bit unhinged is that he saw flickers and images of sorry, let me make sure I have my flickers and images of Fade and memories of what he had done to torture Fade.
Ooh, that's a nice callback there.
Thank you.
So, Janie Magpie, where is it that you find Gray?
I find Gray in that rowboat that was sinking at the beginning of the session. He's asleep in it. It's still kind of in the water, but on the beach. And so he's kind of wet. And there's sand and everything that's gathered in there and seaweed. It's just like, but he's like made a nest in there. And he's sort of asleep.
And the water is probably pink. He is still bleeding from those thorns.
She'll pull him up, wake him up carefully. Okay. Doesn't know what state he's in.
Janie Magpie, can you pull Gray up and out of this by yourself?
If he's willing, yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, she sort of would try. She would wake him up, right? You know, but her whole thing is she would put her fingertips on his fingertips. You know, that sort of, come on, let's go. And
Gray, you've had those flashes, those memories, and then it all kind of goes to a green-black. Like when you're underwater, you know, with the seaweed and stuff, how it goes to that dark green and then fades down. And then you wake up and it's early morning. You can hear the waves and, you know, you see Janie Magpie.
Oh, this is the rowboat. Janie, where's everyone? Where's the motley?
We're all fine. You saved us.
Mm.
And she pats him on the head.
I saved everyone. Fade? Where's Fade?
No, she was eating breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Where is everyone?
She'll back up. She'll put her hands out to you. Touch the tips of your fingers so you know you're supposed to come with her.
He follows.
Okay.
And you can see the banners and markers. It's early, that sort of early morning when the sun's just coming up and it's still a little cool. You can see the Ren Fair is up, which wasn't supposed to happen for a while when you vanished. And there's probably that big tent hall where all the performers for the day, everybody's getting fed, both, you know, the changelings and the outsider changelings and even some of the mundane performers. they're all at these big long tables, and there will be a hush over the room as you guys come in. What do you do, Fade, when you see Gray? You unmute yourself first.
Yeah. Again, have to find the mouse and have to get it over there. Okay. I think Fade. So Fade is actually, it's looking like normally it's like chocolate milk and some kind of cereal, but to Changelings, she's actually eating some like shadow, almost like a pudding. And she kind of looks up and sees, I think the tent flap kind of opens and you see this flare of light. She kind of ducks down, to avoid it, and waits until it kind of gets dim again, and then hears, that it's gotten really quiet. And she looks up and she sees Fade, and she kind of all of a sudden perks up and straightens up, and I think she kind of just, the spoon clatters to the table and she kind of rushes over. Oh, I'm sorry. Gray, are you doing okay?
I'm still bleeding from the thorns, but I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad all of you are safe.
I think she kind of hugs his leg, and says, "We're so glad you're back."
I need to talk to my Motley.
And you will see that your prince, Beckencall, who's dressed kind of like a medieval, like archbishop or pontiff or like that. He has a different costume for every day of the Ren Fair. Is kind of gliding over, even probably, as I'm assuming Echo is heading over there.
From a very different angle now that Beckencall's coming up. The Gray is very useful in a lot of ways, and one of the ways is that he can just be a wall between me and Beckencall. He won't even notice me, probably, at all. Definitely.
My squire. Gray, you have returned.
Yes, I'm twice through the...
He puts his hand up and kind of gestures, and you can see there are some mundanes in here. He says, never the matter. When you have a chance, go to Sarah No Tears, speak to her, have her tend to your wounds, have her give you whatever hedge fruits are necessary, and you may have those on my account. I do this and give this to you freely. We are glad to have you back. You missed some excitement.
Thank you, my prince. Thank you.
And he will back away, does give Echo the eye, and then bows to allow you to go and speak to your Motley.
Friends, could you come as I walk to see Sarah No Tears?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that, so Fade's very distracted. I think she's pulling like Band-Aids out and trying to put them over the little wounds, but they're like brilliant white Band-Aids like a goth girl would wear, and she's putting Band-Aid after Band-Aid on. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that Gray feels slightly uncomfortable at receiving care from Fade. It's a great deal of guilt. Tell me what has happened while I was gone.
We missed you.
There was a werewolf.
Oh, there were lots.
Oh, I missed out on werewolves.
It was smellier than you'd think.
The werewolf was dirty. He was sick.
He was sad.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I'm just Sarah. She yells, and there was a porta potty werewolf. I'm just gonna out here, and it's fine.
Gray stops and he drops down to a knee and he puts a hand on your shoulder. Echo, it's okay. I know she's mean.
Alkaline talked the werewolf friends away, and they all left. Yeah.
I think Echo is like he's all yellow and greens with like fear and like I really don't want to go. To be clear, we were really pissed off Sarah again last time. It was awful. But I think where you sort of have a hand on his shoulder, and there's this like calmer blue, purpley sort of colors that spread out across his shoulder and chest. He sort of resignedly nods.
What, Gray? What happened to you? Or I'm glad you made it back.
I was reminded of the time before, and I need to speak of it with my motley.
Jamie. After we go to the cenoteers and do you get better?
I should tell you now. Perhaps you will not forgive me. And I would not want to hold this secret any longer. During my durance,
and I want to pause there just for 1 second there. He says durance. People don't talk about their durance.
I know. I think Janie claps her hands over her ears.
Go on, Rich.
During my durance, the time when I was taken the first time, I did many very bad things. The one that I was reminded of this time, I have kept from you, Fate, because I was ashamed. I hurt you. I hurt you when we were there. I should have said no, but I did not. I was weak. And I have tried to protect you here, but I also lied to you.
You were one of the beasts in the darkness? Oh. I think, I back away a little bit. And, oh.
This actually triggers a move.
Mm.
I'm always loath to interrupt these beautiful interactions, but I think we do need to go to a move here because we have a move for this, inner turmoil. When you deal with turmoil and pressure from your past life or durance or relationships. So this hits you, and Gray's leaning forward and being, that's what you wanted, that closeness, but you're hearing this. What do you want to roll with?
Oh. What would surprise fit best into? Let's see. Because I think this is a shock. Maybe fear.
Fear, anger.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with fear. And I rolled a 5, but I has a +2 in fear, so I got a 7.
Okay, so that's imagine that you just barely keep that together. Mm-hmm. Now you have a choice.
Yeah,
you can essentially run away.
Yeah,
you can mark clarity, or you can mark a condition, essentially one of your that fear stat, until you change that relationship.
Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run away. I have a move called a panic room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a place where I can hole up. It's just step through the shadow and get there kind of thing. And I'm going to see if I can get that to go. and if I can, that's where I'm going to go. If I can't, then I'll physically run away and deal with the consequences of that.
Okay.
So let's see. Again, because I just looked at it, I'll roll with fear because that seems an overriding emotion.
Okay.
And I got a 10 plus.
You get to choose 2.
Echo, Echo, would you like to come with me? Or is this too early?
No, I like that.
Okay, so I think, I think what's happened is Fade kind of steps back and, from Gray, and, this look of shock and fear, and backs into Echo. And then I think whenever, they step back into shadow and all of a sudden they're gone, and Echo, you see basically this darkened house with windows and everything's black outside.
Nice. So, I think like as you back into Echo and we sort of fall into the shadow, like your contact with him, it like leaks into his skin and his whole skin turns black and part of the shadow and fades away.
Right.
But I just wanted to say there's like a little like half-finished sketch that sort of falls to the ground because Echo is trying to work on something to comfort Gray there, but it's just this like I said, sort of sketchy pencil, almost done, where you see this up in the corner, sort of an angular crystalline, like an elbow and a sweep of hair, just sort of something just off the scene, and then you see people of all different colors and obviously changelings together with different instruments and like sculptors, and they're all naked except for these like crystalline clothes that they're wearing. And you see Echo down at the bottom of this set of stairs handing a painting to another changeling that's there, obviously not part of this court. And you can just tell from looking like at this changeling's face that Echo is handing the piece of art to. Like you see something in their eyes, something in their psyche has just like shattered and torn from seeing this image that they're looking down at. And it's this message of like, Gray, I was there. I did horrible things too. I don't know who this person is. I've never been able to find this person that I hurt, but you did. You can do something about it. We're all the same except that you're a little bit luckier. You're one step ahead of the rest of us.
Nice. So you two will vanish. I'm going to come back to you two in a moment. Gray, Janie, you've probably seen Fade do this before, I assume. That sort of darkling vanishing. So I want to ask Rich a question, and then let's talk about your reactions. Now, this could be a trigger for the inner turmoil if you want, but we've also already triggered one thing off of it, so I'm fine if you don't want to roll for that.
Oh, no, this definitely seems like some inner turmoil.
Okay, then let's have you roll. What are you rolling with?
I think sorrow seems right.
Yes, it does.
Okay. I rolled an 8, and it's a flat, so.
Okay. So much like your companion, you can flee the scene, you can mark a clarity, or you can mark that sorrow stat until you change that situation.
Oh, mark a clarity.
Okay. What does that look like? What is your reaction? What does the camera see of you?
His big pointed ears, they droop down, and his brows, they fall. And he looks down at the ground. He looks at the picture that was left behind, but his shoulders are slumped. He's heartbroken right now.
Janie.
There's that thing of it's almost like she expected it. She had her ears over. She made sure she didn't hear it. Any mention of what happened in the Dorrits can never be good. And when it sort of all kind of gets calm and she sees exactly sort of what she expected to see, drop her hands down. She'll pick up the picture that was drawn. She'll put it like in her jacket. She won't even look at it. She'll take Gray's hand. She'll tug at him, take him towards No Tears tent.
He lets Janie lead him.
That seems like a good place to cut right there. So let's cut from that. Let's cut over. So have you brought other people into your shadow house before, Fade?
No one from the Motley before.
Okay. So what does Echo see?
So I think that what happens, this looks like an old house, maybe almost a farmhouse from like the 30s or 40s or something like that. Nothing's fancy. It's very bare bones furniture. And it's quite different once we're in this place. Fade pulls out some, a pitcher of water and pours Echo a pitcher of water and brings some snacks. They're simple, but puts them on the table and is playing hostess, as if nothing's wrong.
And Echo, what's a detail that you notice in here that speaks to you?
I think there's a Victrola sort of record player. There we go. Words. Very long weekend. Playing sort of gently in the background. It's turning, and the needle has reached the inside, so it's just sort of gentle scratching, staticky noise. But yeah, there's that sort of repeat, and I don't know. Is Fate talking at all?
No.
And I think there's almost this like when the glasses clink down on the table, or when Fade shifts something, or something in the house shifts. It's almost like faintly echoed in the static of that record going around.
I think there's normal creaks in the house. Maybe like it sounds like the wind's blowing, but it's in time to that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So tell me about this conversation that eventually occurs, I'm assuming after a long, awkward silence. The long, awkward silence that this motley is made of.
So Fade basically just snaps into, I'm going to play hostess and pretend like nothing's wrong here.
So, I think as you're going around and sort of playing hostess, and like I try and bring up, like, Fade, what happened there with, and like as soon as I do, like you sweep me off into, this is a tour of this room and this room, or if I try and do it again, you're like, oh, I have to run off and go get the finger sandwiches ready or something like that. It's all these sort of aborted conversation attempts, and so as you run off to go get something else, I think you come back and you find that Echo is just like drawing on one of the tables. And I think instead of trying to talk about Gray and all of that, because that's obviously not going anywhere, I think what it is it's you. It's like a montage of your faces. It's recent scenes, and it's you just like fading off and scared, running scared into the background, especially during that whole, damn it, I'm doing it again, during the entire holes incident. where like Fade seemed especially shaken that whole time that she was without her photo.
And I think that, Fade, looks over at the table and, kind of watches a little bit and then, looks at Echo and says, I was scared. It was lonely.
But I know you, Fade. Why were you scared? You're cautious, but you're not scared.
I'm scared all the time.
But the city, our group, what are you scared of?
I'll wake up and they'll get me this time. And then I kind of lean back and say, and I think it's time to move to another room. And she'll pull you into the next room, which is kind of like a bare bones kind of bedroom. And there's like a mattress on the floor. And she'll say, oh, but here we're safe. They can't get us here.
I think there's like a picture frame on the wall that has like the picture is sort of rotted and faded underneath, like it's just very like gone with time.
It looks like those old billboards that they've papered over a few times that
nice.
are peeled off. Yeah.
And Echo will turn around to it now and start spreading his finger across as colors leak out and sort of form on the paper. And it's just a close up. If it's those two men, it's their faces and their sort of hats, and they're looking with very serene expression. I don't really like. I'm very into it and back turned to Fade while it's going. But when I finish, I turn around and look at Fade. I said they seemed like they didn't want you to be afraid. Who are they?
I don't know. They're safe. I wasn't scared then. I didn't know to be scared then. I don't know.
But you don't know them?
I know. They're from before.
But they loved you. I know. I could feel it. I could see it.
I don't know. Do you remember before? I don't remember before. I just see pictures.
I think Echo sort of clamps up at that, and I don't remember. I see. I mean, interpret.
And I think she pulls a table closer to see if you'll paint.
Yeah. So I think we'll pull out a sketch pad and start drawing that picture again. And I think maybe you recognize like this is the exact scene from that photo. Do you bring out the photo?
So instead of drawing you're drawing that picture again on the table or on the sketch pad.
Yeah, he's very much like I don't have any memories or past. Like I don't remember those things. That's not what I do.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly right. I think you start drawing the photo again, and she pulls out. You see her pull out her photo, and she kind of holds it up to the wall, and then holds it to your sketch pad, and compares and looks at the two. Because maybe this time she'll see something different that might ring a bell.
So I think what I'm trying to do here is like as this picture becomes more and more realized, like it's sort of Harry Potter style, like it starts to move, a scene starts to unfold, it starts to envelop us. And I'd like to try and work a contract to dig further into this memory and expand this.
You want to use this painting essentially to like read the past through this.
Mm-hmm. I used my sight into sorrow thing before to sort of crack through his amnesia and get something from his past, and I want to try and expand that further.
Sure. What do you want to roll with?
I think this is very much trying to tap into Fade and try and get into where Fade's headspace is starting with this and then move further from there. So I think this is fear.
Okay. So roll with fear.
I never know what to do. It's the exact same dice in the same place.
What I would do, move the dice and pick 2 and re-roll those.
Okay, let me try this. Doing it again. Okay, I'm just going to clear those dice. All right, so these right to see if I can get them to re-roll.
Okay.
Oh, goody.
So the good news is,
6.
to quote Rich Rogers, that you are able to mark experience.
Well, that's nice. And I marked clarity for starting contract.
The bad news is, as you draw that, as you paint that onto that painting, and you're kind of doing that in there, someone else steps into the picture. And they look up at you, and they match eyes, and you recognize them. And we're going to cut from there. So let's go over to the medical tent. Janie, Gray, you are moving over there to Sarah Nosetear's tent. Now, almost everybody, all the performers, all the cast members are overeating. Sarah Nosetear's never comes there. So, you know, she's always here. But as you approach, you will hear someone crying clearly from inside the tent.
Oh, Sarah No Tears is already laid into someone then, huh? You'll see Janie go, and she'll sort of look up at Gray like it'll be okay. Like the worst thing is having to go face Sarah No Tears, you know. Just sort of reassure him, push him towards the tent.
And just go in?
Well, I mean, not just go in. We'll peek in.
Okay. You will see Zetcher Mercy is there. He connects with a couple of your guys' things. And again, he's got that sort of weird white hair. And he looks like somebody who's like drowned. That, you know, the eyes are that kind of corpse eyes. And he's just standing there, and you will see Sarah No Tears is seated, and she's, you know, doing this thing where she's kind of wiping her eyes. And Zetcher Mercy goes, "So you'll do it then?" She goes, "Yes." "Okay, then. That's all good. Yes, yeah." And he'll turn and probably see you two kind of peeking in. "Oh, hello, Janie Magpie. How are you?"
And you can see that she almost wants to say something, and then she sort of puts her chin out and steps through, and she brings Gray with her.
And that makes Zetcher take a step back. Gray! Gray, you are back.
Yes. Sarah, Are you all right?
Sarah No Tears has composed herself back into that angry face. And she said, yes, yes. Ah, what'd you do to yourself, dumbass? And she's standing up and moving over to look at your things. And Zetcher, he is an elemental of water, and he kind of roils out like water pouring down a drain out of the tent.
I watch him like a hawk.
Okay. He does stop and look like maybe he's trying to assess how much you heard, but then he's gone. Sit down, Gray.
Did he hurt you?
I don't know what you're talking about. And she looks, and you see her start to pull up like the various antiseptics and things like that. And she kind of looks over and she goes, "These are hedge wounds?"
Yes.
There's only one thing I can really do for this, and you may not like it.
What is that?
And she goes over to one of the drawers, and you see her pull something out and puts it on the counter, kind of with her, keeps her between between it and whatever she's doing. And you see her take out a knife, and she saws something, and she puts it in her hand, and she brings it over, and she goes, "This is zucchini bread. You may not like it, but it's made with hedge zucchini. Tastes a little like banana bread. I don't know how much you like banana bread."
It doesn't taste like banana bread at all. That's what they tell you.
It tastes like banana bread. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't tried this.
It's green.
I just eat it.
Takes the.
It's for you. It probably it's like the promise of banana bread taken away.
Oh man,
Bread is a lie.
Yeah. But you will feel that hedge fruit, the glamour, the strength of it kind of go into you, and you can already, with your ogre physique, you can actually literally feel those wounds knit and close up. There you go.
Thank you. You, Sarah, you are always mean, but we're always here to help everyone.
It's my job.
You're good at it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Thank you. My prince said that he would pay for what you
good.
used.
I like overcharges.
Yes.
Excellent.
You should. If Zetcher Mercy is hurting you, I will stop him.
Do you think we're triggering a move here, maybe of some kind? A reading move, or
possibly? He's trying to get her to open up.
Okay. I think this is a study move then, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Or either a study. I don't think you're actually trying to enforce your will to get something out of her, but
No.
a study seems a good way to do that in a more subtle way, and about her, getting her to open up. So what do you want to roll with?
He still feels terrible. I think joy is way out of the question here. But he's trying to seek a sense of calm by finding someone else's pain. If that makes sense.
Okay. That seems good.
And offering some salve to help it. So I'll roll with calm, which is flat. And that is a 5. This is what you get when you try to reach out to Sarah No Tears, I think. That's
the good news is that you get to mark XP.
Nice. That is really good news.
The bad news is you see her shut down. like immediately.
How can I tell? No.
Shut down. And you've seen Wizened when they get. That's the thing is anger is their kind of forte in some ways, and it feels like a physical force off of her when she goes into that, like when you pet a cat and you're like, okay, and then the cat goes, okay, we're done, and goes with the claws. It's like that. I think you're going to actually have to mark that stat.
Ooh, nice. Okay. That's what I get for being calm. I love it.
Yeah, it's shocking. Because I don't think you've probably been this close to her when that transformation happens, and she's like, you two need to get the fuck out.
We should go.
Lowell,
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a move that says when you gain advantage against anyone who has dealt harm to you or your motley mates in this scene.
Yes.
So essentially, even though she hasn't meant to, she's kind of
dealt harm. Yes.
Yeah, she's dealt harm. So it's not that I'm going to attack her, but I want to get the read off of her if I can. Can I?
So this seems more like now we're going to go into conflict to maybe get something.
Okay,
to
sure.
get what you want from them.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is, yeah, I think. And I probably act fairly instinctively when she does that I do that sort of a kind of go right after her.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. I don't like swing at her or anything, but so here oh my God, the worst roll ever. I don't have it. So that's a 4.
Even with advantage?
Ooh, I didn't roll advantage. Okay,
Roll
I'll have
another
to die. Okay, I can't get one of these, so I'm gonna have to do a new die.
I know, it's the saddest.
This is really the saddest.
Anyone who clears dice on this board will earn my enmity.
Okay, I won't do it then. 1 and let's see here, and I want it to be green. That's important. Submit. Okay, so a 5 plus a 2 plus a 2 is just 9.
Just I get 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at conflict.
Okay.
You were going to get to pick 2.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to cash a debt.
She should.
Because you owe her a debt. So I think she's going to cash debt to only give you one of those things. Does that seem like a good way to handle that?
And she does have a debt with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you owe her, and she does, and you owe her regarding Zetcher mercy.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, I think in some ways that is part of it. So let's see here. I think I get what I want from them. And it's the thing of what has he got over her?
And she says, if you'd gotten that thing from him when I asked you to do that, I wouldn't be in this situation. And does that seem like a fair response?
Mm-hmm, I guess. All right.
And what is it that, I mean, you were supposed to get something. You were supposed to steal something from Zetcher Mercy for her. What was it?
No, that wasn't it. I was supposed to find some hedge fruit.
Oh, that's right.
And essentially, I thought I had, and I had brought back something that looked a lot like it, but not the same thing. So,
yeah, so she says, if you had gotten that, I wouldn't be in this situation. I have the sense that Zetcher has some debts that she owes him, and that was something he asked for, and that not getting those actually doubled down on some things, and that Zetcher has something over her.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
She backs out of the tent.
You guys kind of go out into that bright daylight here, morning. You see the cast and everyone, they're kind of spreading out from breakfast, heading to start the stalls. And get the turkey legs going out there, and they're doing warming up for doing their horrible minstreling throughout the day, and it's that kind of fairground smell that you're getting right now. You actually see there's probably cars in the parking lot. Tourists are already starting to line up so they can do their what hos and what fors throughout the day. Gray, do you want to say anything else, or shall I cut from there?
Why don't you cut just as Gray spots Songbird Rex and looks to Janie and says, we need to go over here, and then starts walking towards him.
And like last time, Janie, Songbird Rex gives you the stare.
And you hear it go, zoom?
All right, we're going to cut. So what do you do, Echo, when you see your keeper step into frame?
Like there's a frantic reach for an eraser to try and like, no, that part of the picture is wrong. That's not what we're doing. And then like extra paint tries to spread over that area, and I think it all just sort of like washes off of her beautiful crystalline form as it comes into the photo.
We get that thing that like that sort of paint spin, like the swirls of paint in a paint can when you're mixing colors together, and the whole table just goes into that kind of glob thick of that, and the image will vanish.
And I think Echo, like he backs away from the table, and his eyes have gone like a panicky yellow and orange, and I think they almost look like faceted and reflective.
I'm going to have you roll inner turmoil.
All right. Was there anything else mechanical from that previous failure?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I think that was enough. Besides the XP and the clarity.
Fear is an obvious, but I'm just looking. The power has an association with keeper. I don't know if that would make it more appropriate here.
You could do that. That reflects looking at power and your recognition of the power. Either one.
Yeah, I think I'll do that because fear is almost the comforting presence that I'm surrounded by right now.
Okay.
So whenever Echo backs away in fear and is pretty, Fade leaves the room, like takes off.
All right. No comfort or support there.
Damn it. Sorry, every time I select these dice, it unselects. There we go. Oh, 10.
You keep yourself together. What do we see? How is it? I mean, does that surprise you?
Yeah, I think what it is he backs away and he starts, like, he reaches for a sketch pad and he starts automatically trying to draw what she was about to say. Like, he could almost feel that connection again, like he was supposed to start translating her words, and he sees the patterns that he's starting to draw on the paper and hardens himself. His eyes very forcefully shift back to their normal blue and green, and he just rips up that page and tosses it out the window into whatever sort of like dust bowl wind is going on out there.
Okay.
And Fade runs back into the room at this point, and she has a bird cage in her hand, and she slams it down over the table. And as she does so, it grows in size and like completely encompasses the table. One of the things that my panic room has is a mystical prison. So she just, and so she, this is very unusual. I think you recognize that Fade in her panic room has a lot more confidence that she does in other places. Mm-hmm. And you expected her to run away. She's coming back and she's taking care of stuff here. Yeah.
And I think what it does is that prison will kind of lock down that passageway, that connection, and it will break that so that the keeper can't follow up on that. Nice. I think that's a good piece of fiction there. And then there's more awkward silence.
Yeah, the panting, getting over that. But I think as Echo starts to get a hold of himself and like almost creaks out like he's finding words again, he says, "Hey, thank you, Fate, thank you. That was. I may remember some things. That was something awful from the other side, and it rewrites words, it hides messages, it twists meaning.
Shh. It's okay.
No, it's important. It's important, Fade. There was something there in your memories. There was something there that she wanted to cover up, that she wanted to talk over, that it wanted to obliterate us, stop us from knowing. There was something important in there. She's afraid of what you might remember.
I don't know. I didn't see anything. I don't know any of those people.
But they know you. There's something you're missing. There's something. I don't think it's knowledge. I think it's just you. You've just forgotten a part of you.
I think I take out the picture and I look and I say, I've looked at this picture a very long time. It looks the same.
Is it all right? Can I see it?
I think she holds it to her chest and oh, why? It's mine.
Can we look at it together?
I think she kind of, shows it to you.
And Fade will, or Echo, wow. Echo will reach out and like gently just take one of the corners, like where it's sort of the white border, like very carefully, not even touching onto the color part.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back and forth between it and Fade, I want to try and use my psychometry move.
Excellent.
What
are you going to roll with?
I think this is getting into sorrow. I think this is trying to find a moment of strength in this for Fade to figure out what Fade is missing. Good thing too. With that +2, it's an 8.
And so that simply lets you do a study, right?
No, this psychometry, it's got a question list.
Okay. So let's look at those questions.
Sure, why not? What secrets or mysteries has this object been privy to?
All of them.
I think oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, do you have an answer there that you want to do, Stephen?
I was just going to say, what if this is some kind of window into the hedge? Would that fit?
Yeah, I think it has been in the hedge. I think that you see those two people, those two gentlemen, you can tell they're what used to be called bachelor farmers. Essentially, that was how my family referred to, a couple of generations ago to gay men in the family. And you can see these two, and they're in the hedge, and they have with them a pitchfork. And you can tell that they have gone into the hedge to look for Fade. Does that seem good?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you get another question, or is it just one with the 7 to 9?
Just one with the 7 to 9.
Ooh,
There
well,
are other good questions on that list, but I am happy with that answer.
Okay, all right. So what do you tell?
I say, I don't think this part of you is lost. I don't think it's dead. I think there's a part of you you can find again. I think there's a home you can find again.
But I've been looking for so long.
But that's just it. That's how they get us. They get us lost and alone, desperate and afraid, without anyone to help us. They find us at our lowest moments. They find us when we'll give anything for just one scrap of companionship, one scrap of our dreams. But you're not alone, Fade. You run away, you hide in the shadows, but I'm here. We're here. You have help now.
And can I say that this is when you pull out your sketch pad and you draw the motley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I there's Alkaline there too. There's like this sort of fringe, suggested sort of sketches around the fringe of like there's Sarah No Tears, there's Abyssinian even. I don't draw Beck and Call at all, even a little bit. I scratch out the part that I didn't draw of him. But it's this sort of like extended, these you have help now. You couldn't find them, but maybe we can.
It sounds to me like you were doing a comfort and support. Do we want to go to a move here? Does that seem okay? As a mechanical effect from this?
Yeah. This is woof. Well, it can't be calm, so I guess it's joy.
Okay.
Ugh, joy.
There's an alien emotion for you.
Poof, and it barely worked. With a 7, I sort of remember what joy looks like.
Okay. So they can clear a condition. Looks like the way to handle that. So what do you want to clear there, Gray? Not Gray. Sorry, Fade.
Yeah. I think probably clearing anger, because I think that makes the most sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to cut from that. When we come back, I want to start with Fade on that one. Does that seem cool?
One thing I do want to point out is that whenever I went to my panic room, I got 2 options, I think. And one of them is, the other one that I chose is I can reemerge at a different place altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime it's story appropriate, we can come back and join the scene with the others.
That sounds perfect. Okay. Let's come back to Gray and Janie. Let's set up. Let's see what they're doing. Let's play through that and run us up to the break. Does that sound cool? So come back. Gray, you're feeling better. You're probably still feeling. Remember that guy kind of touched you and took that section, like that skin off? He was kind of making a hole in you. Probably still got a little bit of the scarring from that. And there's been this weird scene with Zetcher. So what do you want to do?
At this point, I'm a little afraid to find out what Zetcher is doing to Sarah, because Sarah's very angry about it, so I couldn't actually help her. Do have something else that I'd like to fix, and that's why I'd asked Janie to come with me. I reach into my pocket and finger the Zune and make my way over to Songbird Rex.
And he's probably surprised because he was doing that, give you the eye thing. But then you guys turn and you approach. Janie, he's taking you towards Songbird.
I know. And I want to be near Songbird, but I'm also trepidatious of being near Songbird. And clearly, I don't know if they're going to get in a fight. So I'm sort of dragging behind, and then I get a little bit ahead and in your way, Gray. And then I fall back behind because she doesn't know where she wants to be here in this.
It sounds to me like you're experiencing what we might call inner turmoil.
Dang it! Quit using that! I'm going to tell you it's a crutch. It's a crutch. Okay. So
it does. I mean, he is taking you towards your object of affection. You know that there's a bad situation between them, but you don't understand it.
Oh man, I don't want to keep harping on the fear, but I am truly trepidatious on this. So I think
eventually
that is
you'll burn it out.
I know exactly. Well, the way my dice have been going. Okay, so I'm going to re-roll the old school dice and add fear to it. Oh man, so that's an 8.
It's an 8. So you can flee, mark clarity, or mark your fear until you change the situation.
I think that she can't budge. 2 reasons. Essentially, Gray is just back.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it is who she has a terrible crush on. And to back out of this now and leave, it's just, that's unconscionable. So she's kind of like a little crazy-eyed right now.
Okay. Yeah. Like you're sort of bird hopping self again?
Exactly. So...
Does Gray have an inkling that Janie has a crush on Songbird, or is the enmity between the two of them kind of masked over that all along?
Oh, I would assume it completely masked over. She is absolute coward about this.
Okay.
She's doing that bird hopping thing where the bird's kind of hopping in front of you, trying to stop you from moving forward.
I look down. He might be mad, but I'm not. I'm not going to hurt him.
Oh. Zune?
I want to make it right.
Okay. And I mean, she doesn't say okay. She kind of goes, all right. I mean, her eyes go really wide. She didn't know about it. She's clearly repeating something to you, so you know that he must have come asking her, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Not a super shocker, but yeah.
Okay. She'll get out of his way.
Rex. I have something for you.
Eyes narrow. That the thing is, he's big like you in a different way, like an animal, but kind of a badly put together one. So there's that kind of settling in where he's kind of moves his feet to balance himself and brace himself. Like if this is going to be a fight, he's digging his claws into the ground and getting ready. He's flexing a little, preparing.
I took this from you, and I'm sorry.
And huge hands, and this Zune thing, and he will take it, and he kind of deflates a little. He looks up, and he says, "Why would you do that to me?" And you can see he's kind of like tears are forming around his eyes.
Someone commanded me to destroy it, but I didn't have the heart.
And he looks like terrified at the idea of this being destroyed. kind of holds it up and he puts it into his pocket and kind of looks and he goes, "Don't do that again. Don't ever do that again."
Okay.
Some things we care about more than anything.
You shouldn't. It's just a Zoom. You should care about people. All people.
He will turn to go. Like I think he's bothered. Unless you want to try and maybe do you want to reach out to him? I mean, or do you just feel that gulf is still between you?
He's tried to reach out. Yeah, he failed with Sarah, so why not try again? Right?
Okay.
That's how it goes, right? When you fail at something, you keep doing it. That's how it goes, right?
So the light way is study. The more active way is conflict, I think.
You know what? But it's the two of them. Let's conflict.
Okay. Like you aren't subtle about your trying to get this.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't be calm. I guess this is power. I am getting in his face about it.
Okay.
Here we go. That is an 8 that I've rolled, and my power is +2, so that is a 10.
Ooh, you get to pick 3 things from the list.
I create an opportunity. I think there's interesting options. Let's see. I think I create an opportunity. I want to gain advantage.
Okay.
And I get what I want from him.
I think this ends up, though, in a wrestling match, right?
Okay.
So you're going to mark harm, which means you mark either that power stat or you can mark wounded, because I think you are 2 big testosterone people, and I think that's how this ends up having to get resolved, right?
Exactly.
What does that look like?
I think Gray just reaches a hand out to his shoulder, and then there's like a smack the hand away thing, and then there's a shove, and then like a tackle, and then there's like a cloud of dust.
Roll, you take out like a cart, maybe one of the tents.
Yeah.
2 big guys, of course, a crowd. They gather, but they stay well away because they know how dangerous you guys are. What is the ogre thing that you?
Okay, I was gonna say, and Janie is in the middle of it. She has no fear right now, so she's essentially trying to, like, get you guys to stop. So she keeps putting herself, like right in there, going, "No, don't!" and pulling on your arm and pulling on his arm, and she's in the tangle too.
Oh no.
So what's the ogre moment? I mean, one thing is that at one point, Songbird, like, he grabs on, and you can see he is about to breathe fire on you. But he kind of does that. You'll hear that, and he realizes that there are people around, and he doesn't do that. What's the ogre thing that you have to kind of keep yourself from doing?
Oh, I think it's like a big, massive, horn-headed headbutt, right? That you would want to throw, but he doesn't.
But you'll kind of exhaust him, kind of wear him down. And is it that you get him in a clinch, or is it that you both realize that Janie is there? What's the thing that kind of holds it so you can actually get something from him?
Ooh, I think the opportunity is Janie, because I like that opportunity as an idea.
And yeah, you both kind of stop, and he kind of looks up at Janie. He's you're on top of him. You've got the advantage on him. But he says, when I was this was the only thing I had to keep me from not becoming a beast, from not running completely wild, was this music. It kept me alive. You may be right that people are more important, but I can't let go of this. You have a motley gray. I am alone.
I understand.
He does the thing where he moves his arms off as if to say, okay, I think we're done.
We're done.
Janie, what's your reaction to that?
I think I whisper, say, it's to Gray. I go, it's different for us. And she says that like she means her and Songbird Rex. How they hurt us. And she holds up her hands. She has rings in her jewelry, and you know she clings to that.
Nice. So I think that's a good place for us to cut with that kind of silence after the fight there. People are starting to move. There's people, oh, no, everyone move along. Just a tussle. Don't worry, just a couple of knights fighting before and they'll get that all cleared up. And I think this is a good point for us to take our 5-minute break here in between. Okay. So you're suffering post House Con crash?
Oh, mid House Con crash.
Oh.
There's still people downstairs.
Oh my gosh. What's the best thing you played?
Let's see. So I made up sort of a list. We played Azul, Battlestar Galactica, which we play every year. Azul may have been the most surprising new find.
I love that game.
It's so good.
So good. I'm not an abstract person, and that is so good.
Yeah. Terraforming Mars, they played twice yesterday. I didn't get to, but they had a great time with it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they played a 3-hour game of it, ate for about half an hour, and they're like, "You want to play again?" And played like a 4.5, 5-hour game of it.
Wow.
Yeah, one of my friends says he's been playing it for a while, and he loves it so much he's been playing the solo mode.
Oh, really?
We played Pandemic Legacy. Exciting.
Delicious.
Zombies. Played Scythe a couple times, which is amazing. It's really good. I want to get some of the expansions for it. We played Rising Sun.
Yeah, Tyler said he liked it, which was good news to me.
Yeah. It's up to a 6-player game, and that's a dirty, dirty lie. It is a 4-player game at maximum.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed the mechanics and what was going on there, and how they took the very basic bones of Blood Rage and did something completely new with it. And those figures are gorgeous.
Yeah.
But a 6-player game is just so arduous to get around the table and finish the thing, and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
A 5-player game was okay, but I think a 4-player game would be the best.
The only thing I'll play like that high a player count is something that I know is light, or something that like, okay, we're gonna be playing for 8 hours today.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
like Battlestar
Galactica, or Here I Stand,
which I do think. And then let's see, Clank. That was pretty fun.
Okay.
It's a deck builder / dungeon crawler, like trying to get treasure out of a dragon thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a dice or a cube bag that you pull injuries from. It's interesting. And then several games of Dominion and Fleet. And then my hopes for today are Gloomhaven and Fog of Love.
Oh, you have to tell me how you like Fog of Love.
Oh,
I'm curious to see.
Liked it quite a bit. It's very neat.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
But yes, that's been my week so far.
That's a great week. Rich, you'll appreciate that the bat is still there in the same position in the corner of my room, as bats do.
Dude, that sucks. And it didn't even kill the wasp.
Yeah.
What?
So
it's got a menagerie.
Let me see if I can show you this correctly. If I can get that up there.
Oh my!
That is a bat that has been there since Friday. We've had bats in the house before, but it's been a few years since we've had to deal with them.
Just a thing?
Yeah. I have a couple stories about that, but I won't share them on a recorded video. But the thing is, now that we've got it's in that corner, which means I've got to get something to kind of get it to move, and then we've got to get it out of there, and get it out a window, because they actually are good for eating insects around in the area, and they're a useful part of the environment, but I don't want it in my room.
I don't blame you. Yeah. It's an odd roommate.
Yeah. The thing is, they get up that's the problem, is that's like a little crown molding kind of thing that has a gap in it. So it's literally hanging from that up in that corner and hard to get to. And there are other places that could fly would be even harder in the house, like in the stairwell. That happened one time, and I had to put a ladder on the stair landing because it goes up really high, and get up on the top of the ladder with a broom.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I'm going to steal a minute and a half because you said bat. And this is a thing that's happened to me over the last couple of weeks that amuses me. So the free game for Xbox One in April was Super Mega Baseball 2, which is great because Xbox One hasn't really had a good baseball game ever. Due to rights issues because Major League Baseball had a thing and it was only on PlayStation and blah, blah, blah. So this is the action-oriented, arcadey style game, but you actually have a pretty deep menu of making your own characters. So I went through and I made the orcs because rich. And then I realized, hey, you can edit all the players. So my starting team started off as just like me, my wife, and my son. And then all of a sudden, all of my son's friends became the starting rotation of pitchers. And all of the starting lineup was just like goofing around. And I created all of the people that are in play-by-post games with me as different members. And you're a backup catcher, Lola.
That makes sense.
And it is hilarious because I played through a real short season. But I would be like playing and I had my phone by me and I would pause and I would go over on to the little Slack where I'm with my play-by-post friends. I go, Scott, you just hit a triple, man. It's awesome. And I'll go back to the game. And Heidi, who is in a couple of games with me, became this third base like superstar. And Jen Kitzman, who's in my Monster of the Week games, she's like this shortstop with a laser for an arm, and I keep giving them updates on how well they're doing. It's great because I get to talk about baseball with my nerd friends, and they pretend that they enjoy it. It's great.
That is awesome. I love those creative things.
God, it's so fun. It's like great, and I actually like they now have personalities in my head, and after you win the championship, it's like their manufactured World Series. There's this moment on the field, and like all the characters are like running towards you and excited. And I'm like, oh, "There's Tara, there's Scott." They're like, it's so cool.
That is awesome.
Yep,
I love that kind of stuff.
I just want to tag in there and say again, Rich, Tara was amazing.
Right?
She was so fun to play with.
I will definitely pass that along. That will
make her play more Gauntlet games.
She's got the craziest schedule. She's in Amsterdam this week.
Oh,
she travels all the time. Like she was in Australia 3 weeks ago, so her schedule's a mess. I was happy to get her into that game of Preppy Punk, but I will definitely pass that along. I would love to have her more Gauntlet games too.
Awesome. So I want to come back. And I know that Patrick, that you talked about wanting to do the memory thing, but let me cut back to you and Fade. I want to start from Fade's perspective on this. Whether you want to continue on with that scene because it's kind of your emotional background, or you want to move to where the others are. What would you like to do?
So if I remember correctly, we ended that scene with I have the motley, and there's the picture of the motley.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the others, in the group. And so let's stay in that scene. So I think that Faye, looks at the picture you just drew, and she kind of touches some of the people from the motley, with her finger and kind of, it's kind of a loving kind of thing. And she takes the sketch and she walks over to the frame that has the, distorted colors in it and everything, the old pictures. And she puts the new picture up and it kind of stays. And she kind of steps back and she goes, home. This is home. And turns back to you, Echo, and I think she kind of takes your hand and says, this is safe, and you will help. You've helped. So, would you like to go back now?
Like this place, you're right, it is safe, it is beautiful. I would like to stay here, it's very nice, but I would like to help you. And obviously the two of us aren't quite up to doing it alone, but I think with our whole motley, I think we can help you find what you've been looking for. Would you be willing to look?
Gray is scary,
um,
but he was there and might know something. Let's go talk.
and I think just as a visual note, now that Echo sort of understands this place, gets what it is, it's sort of part of his unintentional or sort of subconscious translation sort of thing, his interpreting, and I think as he walks along and as he touches the walls, his footprints and his handprints, they leave behind, instead of this faded time-worn sepia tone house, where he touches the wallpaper, it brightens to its original sort of colors, and where he walks on rugs, there's footprints of these beautiful, vibrant new rugs sort of left behind, and he's seeing now what you're seeing in this place, and it's sort of leaking out and becoming part of the world.
Nice. Very nice.
So tell me, Fade, when you transition back, and we'll cut you back into the scene, we'll bring everybody back together. What does that look like?
So I think literally this is just, in whatever scene we're in, there's going to be some shadow, and you don't even notice that someone was in shadow, and then Fade and Echo step out from that darkness as if they've been there the whole time.
So Janie, when they return post this sort of scrum between Songbird Rex and Gray, where do these two find you?
I think it almost makes sense that we're actually still just there. That's just at that moment. Does that make any sense? Where it's essentially Songbird Rex with Janie between he and Gray with her hands up, and she's looking up at Gray and talking to him. And it's got that whole tableau of a fight that just finished. Or does that make any sense?
Yeah. You guys can smell ogre and beast sweat. And step out and see people kind of dispersing the crowd as Songbird Rex kind of walks back. He's nodding, and he's going. Janie, are you saying anything to Rex before he leaves? Anything else?
I think the one thing that she says is, she says to him, "I'm glad you kept yourself."
Puts his head down a little, takes out those headphones, wipes off the ogre wax on the buds.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And then puts them in, the tiny little head things in those enormous ears. And Gray, you're kind of standing up, watching this, and you will see Fade and Echo out of the shadows.
You're back.
There's a trip?
I think Fade kind of, motions to Echo and says, draw the motley.
And I think I'll hand you there's a little postcard with a shot of the outside of this sort of old-timey house. Wish you were here. Wish you were there across the top of it. To, just as explanation of where we've been. That makes sense, obviously. And yeah, I'll pull out the the sketch that I did there of the motley all around fade and this sort of thing, and sort of consternated because we're still at the Bryn Fair with all these people like babbling and moving away from this fight. But look back and forth between y'all and Fade and Motley and y'all and Fade and the Motley. Oh, this is not going well.
We should go someplace.
Do we have like? Let's see here.
You could certainly move back to the buildings for the compound.
Okay.
Since those are kind of separated away from the Ren Fair, they don't use those. This is sort of the fairgrounds that's adjacent. So if you want to, you could move back to one of the like spaces for one of the courts. Which one would you go to?
I would go to Autumn.
Okay. And tell me what the Autumn court like community space looks like.
I think the front of it is like a big barn, you know, like you go into a barn and you have to walk all the way through it back to their offices. But mostly it's like the big place for where they keep the equipment for the orchards, and lots and lots of, essentially it's built for bringing the harvest back into. Mm-hmm. So it's very much that sort of like agricultural storage facility. And you walk through that, and then there's some offices back there. And everything is just shelves and shelves of canned goods when you get into them.
So you four we will cut to all of you there in the sort of the canning room, the common area there, and it's nice because it's very empty while everybody is out there working elsewise. So you have some privacy here.
So Fade leads forward and she pulls out her picture. She shows it to the Motley. She says, "I don't know who they are. Gray, do you know who they are?"
You're a little quiet again, Stephen. Sorry.
Could you hear me?
Yeah. But you're just a little quiet. So.
Okay.
Do I recognize these?
Well, let's roll study. Study is the info thing.
All right.
So this is even kind of pulling something from the past, allow you to ask a question or declare something.
Sorry, I'm just looking over what. I think because this is for Fade, there's still some sorrow here, so I'm rolling with sorrow.
Okay.
That is a 9.
All right. So you get a hold. You can ask a question, however you want to phrase that. Or if you want to declare something like something big, you could declare a big fact about what you know, like a game-changing fact.
Oh gosh, I wish I were that clever. That's very tempting. I think. Well, what do I know about the people on this picture?
You have seen them before. They helped you get out of the hedge.
These people helped me get out of the hedge the first time.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know where they are now?
No. Where did you see them?
In the picture. They're in the picture. From before. I don't know where.
And Echo will sort of like clear his throat, and he's got a small sketch pad that he's sort of like going through with quick charcoal sketches, and gives sort of a rundown of like I saw these. It gives a little scene of I saw these two people out in the woods with a little girl Fade, where I saw just a snippet from the actual like time of the photo, and then it'll go forward and I saw them out in the hedge like looking for him, looking for Fade, looking for someone, fighting off things. And each time I try and do one of those little scenes of them going through the hedge and fighting someone, it'll be these very like swooshy, organic sort of charcoal lines. And as I get to the end of that scene there, they'll start to be like hard geometric angles and sort of almost crystal formations coming in from the side, and he'll freak out and rip up the paper and try and do it from a different angle, and it always ends the same way until he just like he tosses down the pad and the charcoal, and Echo is panting sort of, and it's very much the thing of like there's this wall I can't get past by myself. There's this danger I can't work around. That's why we're here for y'all.
I see. Well, we should find them. I don't know where to look.
I can help to look. I need help helping.
Echo says all of us can look better than one of us.
So my idea, sort of out of character for a moment, is to make a tattoo for Fade of these people that would help her find her way to them, and sort of like leak some of those memories and emotions back into her.
Okay.
From Stephen, I'd like to know, like, do you like the idea of a tattoo, and where would it be?
I do like the idea of an image. Tattoo has a component of the real world, and I like the idea of just an image kind of painted on there that's permanent from Echo. And I think this might be like over her heart, where this keeps it close.
Then I think what he'd sort of present as the problems is like when we're talking about making an image, making a tattoo on you, he'll touch Fade's skin again, and you could tell like he's trying to paint like he normally does, but again, like Fade's shadow just leaks up into his hand and sort of resists that, and he'll turn to Gray and say, I need something stronger to paint with. And from Janie, I need something to pierce, something to anchor this image, this tattoo on him. It's not a tattooing needle, but I need something sharp and metal.
And she nods, and I think what she does is she actually probably takes off a necklace that she has, and it has one of those like little crosses with the diamond in the center. The thing is that it's very sharp ends on those crosses, on the cross. So it's almost like a little dagger with a diamond on it. And you know that she's handing something that she had originally to you.
Gray?
Take the sharp object and what do you want me?
My paints, my inks aren't enough by themselves. I need something stronger, more durable than me.
Will blood work?
Yours probably would. You're stronger than anyone I know.
And then that's all. He wasn't sure if blood would taint this, because sometimes blood magic, not the best magic. He'll reach into the place where the hole had created a scar and just dab it there. Wince a little, and then hand the bloody tip.
And so yeah, Echo will take it, and as Fade sort of like moves aside her dress or whatever, so that we can get at her chest, where he's grabbed that jeweled dagger point sort of thing. His own colors, his paint start to spread down it and mix with Gray's blood, and it's not like a tattooing process, but as he brings the point down and pierces through Fade's skin into her chest there, all of this color just leaks out onto her skin, forming up this portrait, just like the photo of the two men holding Fade out in the woods. But it's not the little girl, it's the current Fade in the outfit that she's wearing now, with sort of shadow just leaking from her, like the tips of her fingers and her feet and for sort of the edges of her hair, but it's mostly the human looking Fade there. And I'll say, now just breathe deeply, this is going to hurt a lot, as I'm going to try and fire up a contract to or something to seal all this in, sort of the feeling of all of those needle points of a tattooing all at once as this seeks into her. And this is sort of the best moment I've ever had for a PbtA character, because I have 7 moves and they're all dumping into this.
Okay.
I have practice perfection, where I can do something, do my art in an unearthly beauty and in a strange manner. I've got wordsmith, where my meaning and what I'm intending will come across perfectly. Okay. I'm pulling these memories out of the murmurs of sorrow that I pulled on earlier. Mm-hmm. I've got the beauty is truth move, where this experience begins to alter a sense of self in those that witness it. I've got the Way of Thorns, where I can erase the last hour or so of memories and fill them up with, fill them up with memories from Fade's past. I'm pulling from the images I got from the psychometry. And I have Tears. If you know someone's sorrow, I can touch them and alter it. And I'm going to deepen Fade's sorrow, but shift its nature into that sort of, this thing is lost for now, but it drives me forward to find it, rather than this thing is gone for me forever. And that is, yeah. I don't know what the role would be or how we choose things, but that's a minimum of 3 clarity.
I think the practice perfection in the fiction, given the setup here, let's just say that happens. That you can make that with unearthly beauty there. The one I think I want you to roll is that beauty is truth, truth is beauty. Okay. Let's pick that one as the one we roll out of this. The other stuff, I think we can based on what you roll here, we can kind of talk about the effect.
So we've assisted him in this.
Yes, please.
So can we give him advantage? What do we need to give him advantage in it?
I think at this point we would say, because we've had the trust mechanics for the motley, so you can spend what we would have as a trust pool between you guys to give you advantage on this roll. So what do you want to roll with, Patrick?
I'm going to stick with sorrow. This is still reaching into that loss and trying to alter it. And it's using like 2 different winter moves, so. Absolutely.
We'll have you roll with advantage. In Champions and GURPS, rolling a 3 on 3d6 is really a good thing.
That's not helping.
Isn't it?
It's a critical success.
That's a 6.
That is a 6.
That was a 2, a 1, and a 2.
Wow. So the good news is you get to mark experience.
And 3 clarity.
And 3 clarity. I think you do this, but I think because you're kind of drawing those people again, and the last time you drew them, that there is a shadow hanging in the background of that picture, that tattoo.
Someone else got tagged into this call.
Yeah. And I'm going to set my little hard move off to the side right over here, okay? Pretend it's hanging in the air. Hello. I'm just going to put you right there. I'm going to give it a name.
So through that process, I'd like to actually do, because this is a image that's being modified and has all of the Motley's emotions tied into it. I'd like to do a study feeling into that image that's being done. And see if I can get anything more from my memories from that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to roll with joy. My joy is -1. Okay, I rolled an 8, so that makes it a 7.
So you get 1 pick.
Okay. And let me look through the list of questions. So I think I have my starting move says whenever you secretly scope out a person or place, you can get additional questions.
Yeah, that's mostly for casing a joint kind of thing.
Okay. I wanted to see if any of them applied, because you're right. Sure. A lot of it's like, can I get anything that's, worth anything out of this? So, and study's just open-ended.
Yeah.
Where are these people now?
And you get that sense from Gray's blood, from the picture, from all of that, and it's almost like you know that you need to go into the hedge. That's where you will find what you seek.
Is there a particular place in the hedge or just in general?
You know that if you go in, you will find it.
We have to go back to the hedge.
I think Jenny looks at Gray with great worry.
I worry for that. But I will carry you through.
It's important, Gray. It's not just important to me. It's important to Echo too. His master's looking for him.
And Echo is like he's back into panting and backed off and just like wide-eyed terror at this one's permanent. I etched a shadow of my keeper into Fade's chest.
Yes. Yes, you did. You can tell that when the others look at it, they don't see that shadow.
No, of course they don't, because when they're looking at it, it shows up in the reflections in their eyes and not on his skin and her skin anymore.
And I think as Echo backs away, Faye grabs his hand. It's okay. It'll be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's good. It's fine. We should go into the hedge. We should fix this. We should fix this now. We could go. We can take care of it. We can just get this all out of the way and we won't have to think about it anymore. We won't have to think about any because they'll be here and we won't. Yeah.
Jenny will lead forward and go, I know the easiest way in. Come on. She has Hedgemaster. She tends the orchards and the hedge orchards.
All right.
Very
Jamie.
nice.
Oh, yeah. I'll play this game of chicken. We'll go right now. You think I won't go? We'll go.
Chicken?
Beautiful.
She's maybe a little offended.
So do you want to lead them into the hedge? We have a move for that.
If they are willing, yes, I will do that.
I am going manic and hysterical right now, so I'm totally willing.
All right.
Yeah, and what did you roll with? You did mark that, didn't you? We should have you mark whatever you rolled with on that, Patrick.
I see. That would be sorrow.
Okay.
What have you got left?
I've only got 2 stats marked.
Okay, good.
But, distraught, heartbroken, manic, hysterical, we're going great.
So, Janie, you can lead them into the hedge. You have some means, metaphorical, magical, some links between gray and fade and so on that you've built here that helps. So how do you create an entryway into the hedge? What's your magic, your way of creating an entryway?
She walks down the rows of the orchard, and
so we cut to you guys walking through the orchard.
Yeah, and you're walking
what's growing right now in spring?
Oh, well, it's spring, so everything's in flower or just out of flower. So you've got just the start of leaves, but mostly it's flower petals. And so you're walking through there, and as you walk, the flower petals kind of come raining down until it's like sort of a big tumble, and it's pretty much just branches and flower petals. And then as the petals sort of, fall to the ground, it's not orchard branches anymore. It's not fruit tree branches. It's thorn branches. And you're in there, and it's not that much different yet, just that it's thorny trees. But she keeps on walking down the row.
All right. I need you to roll into the hedge, which is situational move.
Okay.
First column on the situational move table. You get to roll with advantage. And what are you rolling with?
I am rolling with probably power, because that's what I'm using, right? Isn't that my... Okay.
So you get to roll all 3 of those dice.
So that's a 9.
That is a 9. All right. So let's start. You have a hit there.
Okay.
What of the top picks do you want?
I have 1 hit.
You have a hit, so you get to pick something from the top list, and then we're going to go down to the bottom list.
Okay. Let's see. On a hit, I arrive where I want to arrive.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to put my little pursuit thing over here next to this hard move.
Damn
okay.
it! I don't even know that there's a pursuit.
Stack the shelf up. Okay. And then you also pick from the sort of problem thing. On a 7 to 9, you get to pick one of those, and I pick one of those.
I think that I think that it takes significantly more time than I expected, because essentially there's so many people nearby, so many regular people, that it actually kind of pushes that transition period out, and it's like we're walking for quite a long time.
Yeah. So you're kind of the sort of the cost here is that you guys are supposed to be doing things, but this is going to take a while, and people are going to miss you and maybe get freaked out about this. And then I think I want you to mark clarity.
Okay. So that means that I top off my clarity level. It's been quite a night for that, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
So you clear your clarity when you do that.
Yeah, that sounds great, doesn't it?
And as I mentioned, this is one of those things, you get to take a clarity move. But you move one more step towards breaking permanently.
Okay.
So this is costly. This is not a good moment.
Where are the clarity moves at?
Oh, so the clarity moves. Let me see.
CM data tab.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I could, in CM data tab, because that's the way I want to put my data in there, is in that label that makes absolutely no sense.
I may have been looking over this over the past week, so.
Okay. So let me describe a little bit of this journey, and then I want to get a detail from each of you about the passageway, and then I'm going to put you where you're at. So you will go through, and those petals will kind of form that passageway in, and then you walk down into the hedge. And again, you can hear the roaring of the sea off in the distance, because this is the hedge kind of abuts against that. And you're walking through these thorn rows. Essentially, they are walls on either side as you go through this path. And as you catch on them, you feel them, and they that touch. You don't want to get caught too much, because they take away things that you remember. And at first, when you're walking through the hedge, you're close to the real world, so you can probably hear people talking, and hear maybe the noise of cars in the distance and things like that. But eventually, that starts to fade until there's no sound. Echo, what's one thing you see on this journey down into the hedge?
Well, I think it's actually sort of a series of things that start off as things I think only Echo notices, because they're very subtle art pieces as we go along the way. And it starts out with like a little patch of flowers that have actually been intentionally grown and shaped in certain ways, and then a piece of the hedge wall that we're going past. Some of the vines and things have been twisted and braided together to make sort of a scene in there. And then we get to more obvious things like a painting sort of just cast to the side, and a statue that's carved, and like a set of wind chimes that's been left that's playing a particular song. And they all have a crystalline geometric edge to them, and Echo can read them all as we go by, and whatever they say, they're all addressed directly to him.
Nice. Gray, you are the Motley's defender. What kind of things, or tell me one thing that kind of pops up on your journey through this weird Fey area that you chase away?
It's a wolf pup. Where there's a wolf pup, there are wolves. It looks cute, but I don't care. I shoo it away, and then I have to chase it.
Okay, kind of chase it for a bit. It does that thing when it first sees you, like it gets up, like when puppies go to be really fierce, and it'll kind of, and then you'll roar at it, and kind of chase this thing away, and it runs back in. It kind of surprises you. You weren't sure how much the werewolves, I mean, it's clearly had a feeling of that, how much they interacted with the hedge. That's something you've just learned.
Yeah, that's great news.
Yes. Fade, what's your feeling here? What is your reaction as you're going down into this hedge? Are you hopeful, or are you nervous? What are you feeling?
Excited, and it's one of those things like like you get with a kid. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So Fade runs ahead and stops, and then looks around and sees that everyone's not is still coming, and she goes back. She doesn't even notice the wolf pup or anything like that. She's just kind of, let's go. Are we there yet?
Nice. And Janie, what is the thing that kind of makes you crack a little? What is it that happens here that kind of really burns into you?
I think we're going down here. We've come through the trees and all that thing, and I know that we should be going into an area that's full of trees. We don't. Everything, it's like it's supposed to be a forest, but it's just turned into low brambles. There's none of the trees that she knows for sanctuary, where you leap up into the high branches and move along that. And it's just gone to this sort of fallow field, like something has raised it. And this is what's grown back so far.
Nice. Do you know what clarity move you want to take, or are you still thinking about that?
Yeah, I chose one. It's a beast clarity move. It's called Rebirth. I can mark clarity to arrive in a scene. I can mark an additional clarity to show up in a superior position.
Okay. Woods, dense. At points the hedge is almost like you're caving, where you have to kind of turn sideways and move yourself along through narrows. And Janie, you're in one of those narrows where you kind of don't know how far forward. I mean, maybe you'd have to go back, and then it pops open. And you will see the hedge kind of goes around and it kind of fades out, but you can see this is a big, like, acre of land. And you will see, like, there's light that comes down from above, like you're outdoors kind of in this space. You've seen places like this, places that get fastened, get settled in as permanent structures in the hedge, these places. But what you will see is there is a huge circular area. And this is primarily this whole thing that you're in, this large, big acre of land, primarily a circle. Though at one end, you will see there is a little house, like built out of collected things. Has a little chimney on it. It's gathered wood, driftwood, that kind of thing. This house is made of that. But the circle that's here, you can see that there are furrows in a circle. You know how when you plow the land, you leave those furrows? That's what you'll see is furrows of plowing in circles that go. And you can see in some places, yep, it's a hedge crop circle, yes. There are some places where there are actually vegetables and things growing in different spots here. It's kind of uneven. And in the center of it is this tree, this oak tree, weirdly enough. That's up there and kind of gnarled. And all of this seems to circle that. And it's weird. You can feel it feels like a farm out here in the hedge. Janie, I'm going to come to you, and then I want to check with Fade.
Okay. So I think Janie kind of stumbles out, sees that circle, like where it starts, and she kind of approaches it, but she walks along it because stepping over a border is kind of a big thing, and she sort of pauses and waits for Fade.
You can see that there are breaks. You know how like a maze does, where there are breaks. There's plow line, break, and then the plow line continues.
Oh, awesome!
But there isn't like a straight shot in. It's like you do have to go and offset to move along the circles.
Sure, can do that. Still.
Fade, what do you think?
So I think Fade kind of sees the house ahead and kind of rushes headlong into it. Isn't really paying close attention. This is how people get caught. And I think she's looking for, she's looking around, like looking to see if she can find anyone, see what's going on. Yeah.
All right. Do you think we want to do a study move here?
I think I would. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do that, and then I'm going to check in with Echo and Gray.
Okay. So let me look to see what would fit here. So I think this is probably still Joy.
Okay.
Okay.
Not for long. I mean, go on.
So that's a 9.
All right. So I think you get your move question, plus you get a study question.
Yeah. Okay. So one question is gonna be, where are the people who live here? That'll be my study question.
Okay.
And then the other question will be, what here is not as it seems?
So that tree is something important, and those circles contain it. And that is this is built to hold that in, whatever is going on with that tree at that center. Someone has done this. The farmers who made this have done this to contain that. And you will kind of notice that as you crunch up, and you will see next to the house the mounds, and you will see the very simple wooden crosses at the tops of these 2 graves.
Okay.
What are the names carved onto them?
One name is Jeremiah, and the other name is Oscar.
Jeremiah's the text there is pretty like clean, like someone spent some time doing that. Oscar's is more rough hewn, like someone who kind of didn't know how to write wrote that name in.
Yeah.
And Echo.
So
to set the sitch, gets walked in. You see Fade has kind of run off to the farmhouse. You see that Janie is doing that kind of cautious walk around, looking at the crop things and so on, just to tell you where positioning is right now.
Yeah. and Fade was traveling along a sort of like maze path through this, right?
No, he ran over to the house, which is outside of the maze.
Okay, then she, yeah. Then I didn't understand what you were talking about with the breaks.
So we've got the house off to the side, right? And then there's the big circle. So imagine that the house is adjacent to the big circle.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got the big circle, and there are multiple circles, like somebody drove the plow around in a circle around this, and then drove another one inside. And but there are breaks. Like if you wanted to walk to the tree on the very inside or walk through the rows, there are breaks to do that.
I want to do that thing.
Okay. So you're going to join up with Janie and kind of look at moving towards the inside of this crop circle?
I mean, look at briefly, but I'm much more interested in looking at the tree.
Okay. Janie, are you going with him then?
I'm waiting for Gray.
Okay.
Does that make any sense? We're supposed to do this as much together. If Fade runs, do we see anything when Fade runs into it? What does that look like?
There's no obvious change, I think, when Fade goes, or rather when Echo goes into it.
No, I actually meant when Fade ran across.
I assume he ran around the outside of it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So I was imagining just headlong going straight through it.
Oh, okay.
Unless that's the problem.
Well, you didn't roll a 6 or less, so you don't destroy anything in your running across.
Okay.
That seems. Does that seem like a fair answer, Sherry? Okay. Gray, what's your reaction to all this weirdness?
I don't split the motley. Fade. Where are you going?
So, who do you follow?
Fade. I must protect her to make up for what I've done.
Then I think you'll kind of move around, jog over to where Fade is at, and kind of come up as Fade is seeing those 2 grave markers.
When I look at the name Oscar and how it's scrawled, does it appear to be a child's handwriting? The way you described it.
Yeah, I like that. Yes.
He reaches a hand down to see if Fade would climb up and ride on his shoulder. It's probably not going to happen, but
Gray reaches his hand down, and Fade kind of, is looking at the 2 graves really closely, and I think kind of steps behind the arm and kind of hides her face a little bit with it, kind of hanging on it.
What do you need here, Fade?
I don't know yet. Do you know these people?
No, I do not.
I'm scared I do. I don't know. Let's see who else is here, if there's somebody in the house.
I'm going to cut away from you 2. Back over to then Echo and Janie. Are you heading towards the inner circle?
If Echo heads there, then Janie will stay with him. I mean, that's it. But she does do this. She reaches out and she takes your hand. Okay.
And I think as Echo grabs your hand, you can, like, he's shaking. He's nervous and trembling and about at his limit for all of this. But he has seen a thing, and he is bound and determined to go study it, because this is obviously the most important thing in the scene, and will explain everything and reveal all the truths. Fix it all.
All right. She's a little shaky herself, but you can tell that she's not going to let you go to your doom on your own. So yeah, there you go.
He very gratefully and tightly grabs on when you grab his hand.
You guys will get through. You have to do that in through a break, move a little ways along, go down, do a little ways, that sort of classic maze thing. And eventually you will get up to this oak tree. And you kind of look up, it's got those oak leaves. And you look down and you see the roots that are binding this skeleton into the ground there. That is kind of, even as you kind of come up, the skeleton's maybe vibrating a little. There's a tree, and it's grown over some sort of skeleton, taller than a person, like it's kind of holding it in place.
Yes, this tree needs to remain here forever. I'm like, okay, this tree's doing its job.
You will hear crack, and almost like you hear the crack. You know how when wood splits, like a tree branch goes, you'll hear that kind of crack, and you'll see the tree kind of shift a little. And Fade, you're there. You and Gray go to kind of move into the house, and oh my God, just suddenly your chest hurts where that tattoo is.
And I fall to my knees. Oh.
And Gray, you see gush out between her fingers, out her hand, like she's staunching something, this spray of like almost semi-transparent, almost, white, like goo. Like it has a texture of blood, but it's sort of almost like water. You see when it splashes and hits and kind of sprays out, where it hits the ground, it erases all of the color from the ground, and you'll see it start to form up into a shape. So let's start with Gray.
I move forward to capture whatever this is.
Okay. So this thing is, what are you going to capture it in? It's this big liquid eraser thing that is pouring out of that wound.
Is there a curtain? Is there a tablecloth? Is there anything?
Let's so kind of running into the house to look for something. That seems cool. Let's have you roll stay strong, I think, in this. You're going to get something, but I want to see how you handle it, because this is a very dangerous thing.
Okay.
What do you want to roll with?
Fear.
Okay.
I'm worried for my Motley being hurt. That is 7.
Okay. I think you're going to have to mark either your fear condition, your stat, or mark wounded as the cost here to get this.
I am already wounded, although did Sarah fix that? No.
I assume Sarah would have fixed that, yeah, because we were between sessions.
So I'll mark wounded.
Okay.
No. You told me to mark wounded coming through at the beginning.
Oh, that's right.
But then Sarah would have healed with and I didn't mark it, right? So okay, so I'm marking wounded.
Okay. So when this thing, you kind of grab on, or going past it, when it hits your arm, all the color goes out of your arm where it touches you, runs away. It just goes white. And in fact, in some cases, the tops of it actually goes transparent, like it's completely erasing you.
Ugh.
Okay. And you will run in. What do you find in the house?
Fine. I think just like a red and white checkered tablecloth amuses me. So.
Okay, yeah, find it. A little holes in it. It's got the little food markers, things like that. So you will grab that up. Let me come then to Fade. Fade, kind of reel back from this. What do you do?
So I have a wound and it's hurting. I reach into my pocket and pull out the photograph.
Okay.
And I slap it over the wound to kind of bandage, hold everything inside. So
that's perfect. And so, I'll tell you what, you can kind of move back away from there. You can do that. I won't have you have marked anything harm-wise or stuff from that, because that seems like a cool way to kind of handle that. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's check in with Janie, and because for some reason I want to save Echo for the last on this. Janie, you hear that crack and you look back and you can see, across those rows, what's happening at the house. You're muted.
I look at this tree. I don't know what the deal is with this tree, but this is a tree. And this is an oak tree, and I leap to wherever I need to get an acorn from it.
Okay, I like that. I think that this is going to be the passive voice of PbtA. I'm going to have you make a stay strong roll.
Okay. All right. I guess that because I'm using leaping to get to it, I will use my power again.
Okay.
But I just can't get to the right tab no matter what I do. I've clicked on 1,000 things.
All the tabs.
It's the 2 main dice. I'm rolling and adding 1 to it.
Okay.
That gives me a 7. So I'm just squeaking through all night tonight.
I think that you're going to mark your powerful. You're going to get this acorn, but you are shaken. Because this is a place where you're super vulnerable.
Yep.
All it takes is one misstep, and you are never getting out of here. You or your friends.
I got the acorn.
Echo. You will see the Lord Eraser, one of the knight seneschals, and remover of your keeper, pour forth from that tattoo that you put on Fade.
That's not a good thing.
True dat.
So yeah, I think between Janie flying up in the tree and turning around to see that, like, Echo's in total shock and backs up and gets his foot caught in the branches of the tree.
Okay.
And I think, like, falls back into it, firing off my psychometry move. And I don't know, I'm sort of curious to...
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great.
To let the dice roll say whether I fall purely into the tree or whether I fall and touch the skeleton, maybe.
Let's have you roll.
Oh, do I have anything left?
Yeah, you got plenty left.
Oh, I got fear. I've always got fear.
We'll always have Paris.
Jesus, that's a 5.
That's a 5.
I think I land squarely on that skeleton.
So I think you're going to have to mark fear, because you will touch that keeper, and you see this bit of this keeper, and it's looking, and it's clearly kind of dumbfounded, and you will see this farmer who you've seen before jab him through the midsection with this pitchfork that's kind of blazing with a blue fire, and the keeper kind of goes, "That's unique," and then kind of falls to the ground. That's what you get. Does that seem cool?
Yeah, that seems neat.
Okay. And it's definitely this keeper. Of course, the keeper isn't dead. And it kind of, when you touch it, it reaches out. It's like, whose are you? Who do you belong to?
I mean,
let me go cut down this tree, and I will give you everything you want.
Yeah, and when it asks who, like, there's no resistance. It's been running through Echo's head all day. I don't think it has any problem picking up on an image of the Prismatic Queen.
Okay, let's cut back to Rich. You've got this gingham tablecloth. So what do you do now?
When I come back, is this thing still...
It is formed up into this tall, like, it's you can just kind of make it out because it's semi-translucent. It kind of even cuts the color out of the air around it, like an after image. And it almost looks like a knight, just from the shape of it. And it has a sword in its hand, and it is looking around.
You should go. We mean you no harm.
I mean you harm. Much harm. All the harm. Gray. You were a great torturer. Come back with me. I will take you home.
No. This is my motley.
What do you want to do? It's clearly going to try to kill you or your friends. It's here to erase you if you will not give in.
I'd like to reach and grab it and throw it as far as I possibly can.
Okay. This seems like a conflict move to get through that.
Yeah. Okay. I think he is rolling with anger.
Yeah. You called up your past.
Here we go. Oh, that will be a 6.
That will be a 6. So the good news is you get to mark experience.
Yep.
The bad news is you need to mark that stat or another wounded, which is not good.
I will mark anger.
Okay. You kind of go to do that, and he reaches out and he does kind of catch your face a little bit with the strike, and you can tell, you can just feel, even as it comes through, that slash of color that he cuts away from you there, that's going to be there forever. This weird white scar. And you can tell that it's on your mask as well. Then let's cut to Fade.
So I think Fade sees Gray get struck by the eraser.
Yeah. Doesn't get a chance to get the cloth up or grab him or throw him.
Yeah. And she, stands up, still grasping, at her wound, and, reaches out with her other hand and says, "No." And I'd like to invoke contract, and call forward the darkness to, combat the eraser, to suck him up or put him somewhere else.
Okay.
Like that.
I think we're just going to do that as a conflict action.
Okay.
Essentially, the darkness that you have is the fiction for being able to do that. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. What are you rolling with?
Power. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely with power. Okay.
Absolute power? I understand that, Krups, absolutely.
I got a 10.
10. You get 3 from the list.
Okay. I will create an opportunity for me or my allies.
Okay.
I will avoid reprisals, harm, or a cost.
Okay.
And I will inflict harm upon him.
Okay. So when that darkness hits him, that is the thing, is he absorbs color, he absorbs darkness, but you push so much so fast at him that he does have trouble, erasing all of it, and kind of falls back from that, and doesn't get, he clearly moving for you to just drain that darkness and render you invisible, gone, absent. But he stumbles back. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Janie.
I leap down from the branches. I sort of pull Echo up. I take that acorn and I toss it down next to where the tree is cracked.
Okay.
So that it has the light it needs. And essentially I got to do something to try to hold that. And I move him through that maze as fast as any creature can do that.
Okay.
I have leaping if I can use that to our advantage, but
you have that as a
that's my wild ways. That's my
okay. Then that's a perfect fiction for doing this. I think I actually want you to invoke contract to activate that acorn, though. Does that sound cool?
Yes, that sounds awesome. I would happily do that. I will spend that. And I will say that since trees were my home, that I know, and orchards and all of those things, that I have those skills. So that contract of...
Perfect. Roll for it.
Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to roll.
Oh, I want you to roll.
I know. Let me see here. What have I got left?
Not power.
Or fear. I'm going to say calm because it is a tree. And
Okay.
it's that last moment, that thing I know. Oh, please. Let's have some decent dice for once.
Now, let me stop you there before you
Yes.
roll. I want to check in with Patrick.
Okay.
Just in case you can do support to clear a condition on a stat. I didn't know if you want to do something like that, or we want to do an action after this. I just want to check in with you because there's that mechanical weirdness of doing it before or after.
I still feel like a connection to that thing down there, the skeleton. Mm-hmm.
It's okay if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of interested in it tempting me into something.
Okay, Janie, let's have you roll.
Okay. 8 plus 1 is a 9.
That is a 9.
I can't get above the medium.
So essentially, you're growing that tree. That's the environmental change that you're making there, and it will kind of grow up. But I think that you have to leave one of your rings there with the acorn.
Okay, so like as a sapling comes up, in order to feed it, so it keeps feeding it, I will sort of very carefully put it on one of the first like leaflings that comes out, so it doesn't crimp the trunk, but it will crimp one of the branches.
Okay, and then you kind of rush off. You will hear in your head there, Echo. I will make him vulnerable if you promise to return within the year and free me. The eraser who serves your lady. I will do that.
Yeah, and I look over and like Gray is reeling back from this several wounds, but that cut across him, and Fade is sort of like grappling with it now. And yeah, I'm gonna lean on the manic hysterical and now reckless and self-destructive from fear.
Okay.
And say anything, just save them, get us out of here, anything you want.
Then we have a contract. And Gray, you're there. You see that Fate has kind of fed it with darkness, and then this thing kind of you've got that opportunity. You kind of set that up, and then you'll see it like stop and kind of shimmer, like you can start to see like it's getting flooded with some color, like it suddenly has some substance to it, and you don't know why. And it doesn't know why. You'll see it kind of look around like it doesn't understand, but it's right in front of you.
I want that sword.
Okay. So, again, I think as boring as it is, I think we have to go to conflict and see what happens here.
I agree, and I will use power this time. That's desperately what I need here. That is a 9.
That's a 9. You get 2.
Okay.
And certainly the fiction is you can grab that sword.
Oh, I don't need to choose. You get what you want from them?
No, I think you can. The sword is a wonderful piece of the fiction. Plus, you already set out an opportunity last round that we did.
All right, cool. I want to inflict harm.
Okay.
and create an opportunity for my allies.
Okay. So I think that you grab that blade, and where do you put it?
I grab the blade, he twists it in his hand, and he brings it straight down into his shoulder. Just going to try to cleave off his arm.
Oh, yeah. I think that will actually drive him and kind of nail him to the ground. Goes through. I mean, he goes down on his knees, and his arm is hanging off uselessly. His own sword, clearly, he is not invulnerable to. And he cries out in pain. But his other hand comes out and, grabs onto your leg and burns, and you're going to have to mark a stat. What'd you roll with?
I rolled with power.
Then that is what you're going to have to mark.
Dang.
And it hurts. It burns there. You can tell there's going to be, like your face, there's going to be a mark on your leg that's going to stay. Fade. You see Gray grab that sword on this horrible thing and pins it to the ground. How do you finish it off?
I want to open a hole, a shadow area underneath it, and swallow it, and then close it up so that the hand that's there is severed, that's attached to Gray, and melts.
And that's what will happen. That's what will happen. Gray has pinned him, held him, and you will open up those shadows, and he'll, and there's just that hand on you, Gray, and then it is gone.
He slumps down to his knees.
Janie.
He's still holding the sword.
Oh, yeah, you've still got the sword.
Yeah, so the sword's planted in the ground, and he dissipated around it. So there we go. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, it and you can see where it cuts, it erases color. Janie, you and Echo land near Gray.
And I stop, and I'm like, "You got it? Okay, we're fine." Turn to Echo. I'm like, "We're fine. Fine.
Fine. We're fine. It's fine. I'm sorry, but I didn't know, but it's better now. It's fine. He's gone. He won't come back."
And her eyes look sideways like, what is he talking about?
I think this is a good moment for us to maybe move to a little bit of epilogue on the scene here. Okay.
Yep.
What I want to do is I want to start with Fade, because this is kind of Fade's scene. And I know that Fade has a move that we haven't engaged with that might be appropriate here.
Are you talking about Ghost Walk?
Yeah.
So I actually don't have that yet. I've been able to lose an XP. So I
I think we can do the fiction here.
That's right. So I think what's going to happen is at some point. So right after all of this is done, you see Fade, and Fade's kneeling kind of between these two graves, and the camera kind of zooms back out, and we see, wounds being tidied and all of that, and Fade's just kind of kneeling there, and then you see these two ghosts of the two men on either side of Fade, standing there and kind of rest their hands on her shoulders as the camera closes.
Nice. Gray, you can see we get that shot of Fade being comforted by, clearly two real world parents did this. You briefly recognize them having been the one who saved you. Let's do our epilogue scene, and it can be here, it can be back at the compound later. What do you think is our last sort of scene for Gray?
I think for Gray, the final scene would be him sitting in the tent with a sword on his lap, Sarah No Tears tent, the sword across his lap, and her trying to bring color back to that wound and failing. And his ears just droop.
She's got she's made up some magic makeup and balm and things like that. And every time anything goes on it, it immediately turns to white. And you see her getting more and more frustrated.
I really like the idea of your mask having this streak of white where that is, so that everyone sees it, in your mortal form as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And probably the last bit we see Sarah No Tears trying to make you eat some more of that zucchini bread, maybe that'll help.
Shaking his head, no.
Got a little fork, kind of doing that thing. Echo.
So I think we see Echo in sort of a shadowy room. He's in a large sort of comfortable chair with a light just right above him, and he's drawing in his sketch pad, and he's he's drawing a picture of Gray stabbing through that thing, and it's sort of this is this memorializing of this thing is done. We've driven this off, and this is one of those major things. And he looks down proudly as he finishes it, and he sees in the background of it, there's that tree, and just sort of ghostly in the edges where his sketches are sort of fading off, he's sees that he's drawn the faces of those two men, and they're looking very disapproving and blaming and what the fuck are you doing sort of thing. But he tears it off and throws it away and starts drawing just a neutral scene from the Renaissance fair, but you see he'll make a couple strokes on someone's faces, and his hand will just absentmindedly go off to the corner and draw a line of that tree, and absentmindedly go off in the corner, and those faces keep showing up again. And the camera sort of pulls out from this pool of light that he's in, and there are just hundreds of crumpled pieces of paper around him where you can see just little edges of those faces glaring out, and disapproving eyes and branches of that tree.
Oh, nice. Janie, what is your epilogue?
I think, and it's okay. So she's got one of those orchard bags that you keep the apples in, Just come back, it's full. And she's sort of up in a tree. And you see Zetcher Mercy walking by, and she pelts him with one of those hedge fruits, the ones he requested to. And when he turns around,
with the hitting
off. And she's literally just smashing him with these hedge fruit over and over again.
And very clearly the ones that you were supposed to get before.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice, more lighthearted cutaway there with the problem resolved. Thank you guys very much. That is our session.
That was so good.
That was pretty fun. Again, if you have mechanical things, you can send me an email on that. We can talk about that. If there's things you've noticed and stuff, I will gladly take that, so we can do another iteration of that. I just want to do a real quick. I know we're a little bit over time, but if anybody has anything they want to say about stuff they really liked or stuff that they wanted to see more of, I want to say thank you guys all. I love it when the group is willing to lean into the story. I thought you guys all leaned into the story. It emerged from what we did, and I felt like solid. You guys really spun something wonderful today, at least from my GM's perspective. Stephen, anything you want to point out, want to ping as you really liked, or things you want to see more of?
So I really like Changeling, and I really like this game. I like what we've done with it. I find that I like the little snippets that I've been able to see so far, and it's been so good each time. I'm looking forward to it in the future. I don't want to, if it was running all the time, it might be become too commonplace or something like that. I like the little pieces. But I have to say, like the Janie Magpie's echoes of repeating everything people said was so good, and so was the stoicness of Gray, and the drawing of the pictures were so heartfelt. It was all just so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Nice. Rich, anything you want to point out? Want to highlight?
I'm really glad I was able to come back into the game. The love letter, I very much admire that. That was fun, and a little like dangerous. Like, were you like, oh, you could just choose one of those? I thought that was a really interesting choice, although it's diceless, so I hate it. But still. This was great. I love these characters, and I was happy to be part of this. It's been a pretty fantastic experience.
I love that you went and wrapped up some of those entanglements. I mean, I would like that, and that's the way they ought to work is things that happen and they change and evolve, and I appreciate you going to those.
Yeah, and I felt a little like selfish doing the Songbird Rex, but I was glad that Janie was there. It felt less selfish because I know she had stuff to resolve. I kind of almost wish that I knew about the crush, because that could have definitely changed the angle of that conversation for him to go, and now you tell truth.
Nice. Patrick?
I absolutely love this. I adored our weird socially inept group. There were great moments with all the characters. But just like highlights for the whole thing, I want to call back Lowell to the emergent mystery of the whole storyline, which was amazing and so compelling, and I still want to see more of that. And it was such a great like wrap around the group spark of an idea that turned into something amazing, and you really let it expand and breathe. And similarly with this last session, I really appreciate how much you and everyone were willing to, like, this is the climax of the 4-part series. This is the big ending to it, but everyone was so willing to just step back and let it breathe and let it be quiet and slow. And I felt like it got really emotional and heartfelt at times because the pace wasn't pushed, because the action wasn't high. But the stakes were super high.
Yeah.
And then ending it off with this sort of like actiony scene that was still way more emotional than it was physical action conflicty, and having this sort of like beautiful long released breath as the last session was. It was just a perfect end to this game. It was so good, and I love you for fighting any sort of instincts to make like a dramatic action-filled conclusion. This was, I feel, the perfect wrap to this series.
It felt good. A lot of nice carryover between characters. So I was happy with that. Sherry, as always, I give you last word.
And I don't understand, because it's so clearly been a regrettable choice many of the times. I want to say that I loved this because we did play 3 very withdrawn characters, but the whole thing of it was 3 very different kinds of withdrawal and diffidence and uncertainty, and then revolving around Gray was magnificent. Because he really was that anchor character that we could all depend on, but he didn't feel like he could depend on himself. I mean, it was a beautiful, rickety merry-go-round of characters. It was just awesome. And I think Stephen chose the hardest one, which is the Darkling, that sort of isolated character himself. I mean, that by itself, and did a great job of doing that sort of, I'm here, I'm not here, I'm here. It was really good. It was the most Darkling of Darklings that I've seen, without being this I guess, the sort of a scary jump out darkly. So.
Thank you guys very much. Much appreciated. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Or I know Rich has to run this afternoon, so we've kept him too long. Thank you guys, and goodbye.